Hello, fam. This is Zoe from the Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zach and Zoe. I just wanted to start this episode by letting you know that this is episode 20. Now, throughout this episode, you'll hear me refer to this episode as 19, but no, that's not true. This is episode 20, just like it says in the show notes. Episode 20, just remember that. So, enjoy the show.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
You are now listening to the Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zach and Zoe. Thank you for joining us as we talk about the movies of yesteryear. You can reach us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter by searching for Backlook Cinema. Check our show notes for more info, and now, let's get it in.
Hi, my name is Zach.
And this is Zoe, and welcome to the Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zach and Zoe, where we take a look back at the movies of yesteryear. And this is the 19th episode. Welcome, fam, to the 19th episode. And today we just watched...
Trying to remember, Broken Arrow.
Broken Arrow. Well, we can see by Zachary's late response that this movie did not leave as quite an impression on him as some of the other movies that we had went talked about on the podcast.
I was just looking at my phone. I was lost in track.
Oh, okay. He was lost. Actually, what you call it? This like I said, this is the 19th episode, and we're looking at Broken Arrow. And the reason we started this show is to strengthen the bond between Zoe, and my son Zachary. And we watch movies that I loved when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and we get Zach's impression on these great movies, these great achievements in cinema. Although I have to admit, Broken Arrow isn't actually one of those great movies, but I liked it. I love this movie. So it left quite an impression on me. So why don't you tell them about our merch?
Yeah, you can get t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, face masks, and other bunch of items at our website, backlookcinema.com.
And I would like to invite you to please follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and our other socials. You can find the details in the show notes, although they're all a variation of Backlit Cinema Podcast. Also, you can check out backlookcinema.com, and you can leave us direct feedback, comments, or suggestions, etc. You can email us at fanmail@backlookcinema.com. And you know what? If we ever get email, we might even read some. We might.
And please, if you like our show, then rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast app that you might be using.
So what have you been up to?
Nothing.
Yeah, you know what? I could say the same thing.
I mean, other than putting up new shelves, then I guess that it.
New shelves.
Shelves, as you can clearly see.
You put up new shelves.
Yes.
You went to Target.
No, I went to Amazon. They don't have these at Target.
Well, they have something.
No. They don't have. Okay, you see the ones with the little.
Yeah, those are the new ones. Okay. And so, as you told me before we started, you got Captain America up there.
Yes.
The Captain America that you got from buying the Avengers game.
Yes.
Which apparently is the only reason why you bought the Captain America statue.
I mean, yes, clearly.
How much was the game you bought?
I think 160.
Wow, yeah, because that Captain America probably is about $60.
It was the Captain America, a Black Widow belt buckle,
right.
Iron Man suit detail plans, a bobblehead of the Hulk, some pins, and a picture of Carmella with the Avengers.
Right. Yeah, they really packed that joint. Because that really is a fetching Captain America statue. Usually you can see stuff like that at GameStop for like $60.
Oh, and a Thor's Hammer's keychain.
Right. So yeah, I guess it was worth it, even though you didn't like the game all that much.
I mean, it was decent.
Right.
Could have been better.
I really enjoyed the story mode for that game. So you put up the shelves, you got some more toys on the shelves. Soon you won't have a room to live in. It'll just be all stuff.
Who knows?
Or you got some more rooms for more shelves, I guess. So you haven't been watching YouTube videos or TV shows anymore?
No.
You didn't watch Coming to America 2?
No.
I mean, because we just reviewed the original
movie. Yeah, I know, but I didn't feel like watching
Coming to America
movies.
2 was good, yo. You should have watched that joint. Because that was when Wesley Snipes was great. People always pass on Wesley Snipes when they talk about this movie but he was a great addition to this movie. So he was the only like major character that wasn't part of the original cast, along with the kids that played Eddie Murphy's daughter, or at least I should say, Prince Akeem's daughter from the original film, obviously because they weren't born yet. But yeah, they were wonderful additions. I enjoyed all of that. But yeah, you need to go check it out. Check out that movie. That's a good movie. You'll laugh. It's definitely worth it. I'll grant you, like a lot of people, I wouldn't say that it's all that much better. It's not really better than the original. It probably, most people would probably say it's a little lesser, but it's still a fine movie. So none of the other movies that came out, you haven't watched any of those yet?
No, I have not.
Any books?
No.
You ever read the rest of that
No.
Legend of Zelda book? Did you finish Majora's Mask?
No, that game takes time, especially when you got to go back and fix mistakes.
Oh yeah, I figured it'd take you a couple of weeks at most. At most, I mean, you hadn't done that.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, like I said, I hadn't done much. Listened to a bunch of podcasts. I listened to this one podcast where they were talking about the COVID-19 vaccine. There was a doctor on there. Basically, he was letting people know you have nothing to be afraid of the vaccine. You can take any of the vaccines out, either the Moderna or the Pfizer or the newest one that was been approved by the government is the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Any one of those is good. People talk about the efficacy of the vaccine, like Johnson & Johnson versus the other two vaccines. But the thing is, people don't understand efficacy, and doctors talk about efficacy without, sharing what that means. And so, but basically, the main advice is if you have an opportunity to get any of these vaccines, take the vaccines, and the quicker that most people are vaccinated, the quicker we can get back to living regular life. So what was the other things I've done? That was like probably the most significant podcast I listened to, but the other ones just talking about stuff like stupid people, like a dude that blew himself up trying to make a bomb for his gender reveal party, or one where they talked about WandaVision, which I finished, which was a great show, and that now we're all getting geared up for the Falcon and Winter Soldier. What do you think about that one?
Might be good.
It might be good. So you're more inclined to watch that one.
Maybe.
I've seen some early impressions on the internet, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this got the stuff." It's like apparently it starts off action packed. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that, and still continuing my my vampire book. I think it's called Deadly Acquisitions. I don't remember. Maybe the next time we do this podcast, I'll be closer to finish, and then I'll give you the correct title of this book about this vampire accountant. But I like the book because it kind of starts off, action-y. Like the vampire accountant kind of complains about how his life hasn't really changed. You would think that once you become a vampire, you become all suave and smooth. But if you're a boring person in real life, then you'll be a boring person as a vampire. That's what his conceit is. But he's still surrounded by action, adventure, and thrilling affairs. That's what that book is about. But otherwise, just a regular boring life. I drew some pictures. You see the pictures?
No, I did not.
See?
No.
This is what happens when your son, your own seed, does not support your endeavors. But anyway, just drew some pictures for the last episode of The Last Kiss Goodnight with Samuel Jackson and Gina Davis. So if you hadn't you haven't seen those pictures yet, you can check it out on the Instagram account. But it's funny because I'm still practicing. They don't look exactly like the actors. My experience in drawing is not as great as it should be. So I am still a work in progress. So having done very little this week, let's go into the movie, I guess.
All right, so Broken Arrow. Terrorist steals nuclear warheads from the U.S. military, but don't count on a pilot and a park ranger spoiling their plans.
Right. A pilot and a park ranger. So one a military officer, the other just an ordinary person, just doing her job. Now she has to stop a nuclear weapon from going off in American soil. This was released on February 9th, 1996 by 20th Century Fox. It was still before you were born, so I reached the threshold. Yeah. I believe you were in gestation at that period. It grossed over $70 million in the U.S. and Canada, over $150 million worldwide, but it was on a $70 million budget, which means it's not quite the hit that they were looking for. It was not just under the radar. It's barely profitable in Hollywood terms. I mean, yes, domestically it made its money back, but it didn't. It had to go international in order to make a little bit of a profit. Ideally, you want to make your money back. You want to make the profit on U.S. soil, and you hope that internationally it's just extra icing on the cake, if you will. So this movie stars John Travolta as Vic Deakins, a very interesting name that they chose there. An exciting name that they went for. Not something ordinary like John or Jones or Ricky or Richard or something like that. It's Vic Deakins. And John Travolta has had an illustrious career. Superstar actor. He has started off in his sitcom called Welcome Back, Kotter. That's like how most people know him, or they might have known him from one of his first films was a musical Grease. But and then he had kind of a pause, and then he kind of came back. And I think one of his first movies after he came back was Michael. And then ever since then, he's just been doing hit after hit. And then lately, it's kind of been slowing down on the hits. He's been doing some more, getting into TV and whatnot. But still, one of the superstar actors of our times. He's been in Pulp Fiction, Get Shorty, Grease, The Punisher, Face Off, and Swordfish. Then he's with Christian Slater as Riley Hale. Christian Slater is also one of the great. His career started off great. He had a few hits, and then not as many like highfalutin films as John Travolta, but he's been on movies and TV, and his most known works are True Romance, Tucker, The Man in His Dream, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Mobster, and most recently, Mr. Robot, where I've heard great things about that show, but I haven't seen it. Also, Samantha Mathis plays Terry Carmichael. She's been in American Psycho, Fern Gully, The Last Rainforest, The Punisher, Super Mario Brothers, unfortunately, as Daisy. Is Daisy a princess?
Yes.
Yeah, so she plays Princess Daisy. That movie was unfortunate. I'm sorry she was in it. It is also stars my man, Delroy Lindo, as Colonel Max Williams. He's been in Malcolm X, Get Shorty, The Core, The Good Fight, The Five Bloods. I've heard The Good Fight was a great show, and I've heard The Five Bloods is a great movie. Haven't seen none of those, but maybe I can get into The Five Bloods. Also, rounding out is Bob Gunton, or Pritchett. He's always playing a bad guy. He's either a bad senator or a bad businessman. He's just always the bad dude. Also, Frank Wiley, Giles, he played Giles Prentice. Howie Long, he played Kelly. Howie Long is that dude. He was basically the last dude, the last henchman that was with Vic Deakins in the movie. So remember, he got kicked out the train. So that's Howie Long. So he's actually first known as a defensive end for the Oakland Raiders or the Los Angeles Raiders, however you want to read that. So after football, he kind of did a little bit of acting on TV and movies. And I think he's still an analyst on the NFL. And so, and finally we have Bondi Curtis Hall. I like to put him on here because we've seen him before. Now, you remember that guy that was in charge of finding the newts near the beginning of the movie?
Tell me the one, who was, trying to remember. Tell me the one that was, that wanted to say we should tell the truth.
No, not that one. He was, they was out in the field. He was one of the Air Force officers, one of the Air Force Rangers.
Tell me the one that was scanning for the nukes.
Right. He was the one. He was leading the group that was scanning for the nukes, and he was on the ground. And he was actually the first black dude to get shot. Remember, like we got to disarm the nuke, and that's when Howie Long was like, "I can't let you do that, sure."
Yeah,
and shot him. So that guy that got shot, we have seen him before. Think you can comb your memories and remember where you seen him?
No.
It's funny because it says he played Lieutenant Colonel Sam Rhodes, but he may have been credited that, but he was not wearing the Lieutenant Colonel rank on his uniform, and they did not refer to him as Lieutenant Colonel. So that's really messed up. That's how the movies mess up military and the military ranks. But Bondi Curtis Hall was in Coming to America.
Oh.
So we seen him. He was the dude that saw Prince Akeem in the line for the bathroom. And he was like, my prince, prince. Okay. I'm a loyal citizen of Zamunda. That was that same dude. So this is directed by John Woo, his second U.S. film. This is like the one of China's greatest action directors. He's known for making outrageous action scenes, especially when it involves guns, especially machine guns, handguns. He loves this stuff. So it's like he makes it look like ballet. He's always praised for his action sequences. So he's best known for his movie The Killer. That's a Chinese movie, and Hard Boiled from China. His first U.S. film was Hard Target with Jean-Claude Van Damme. And then he's also done Mission Impossible 2 and Face Off. And Face Off is probably the John Woo-iest of the John Woo films. It's written by Graham Yost.
I was going to say, you gotta...
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Written by Graham Yost. He's written for Speed 2, Cruise Control, Hard Rain, and Justified.
All fine movies. I've seen Speed is probably, of all of those, is the best, but I haven't actually seen Justified or Hard Rain, so maybe I can't say that. Well, Speed was better than Speed 2. That's what I can say. But I've always wanted to watch Hard Rain. I think that also has Christian Slater, and it has who's that guy we talked about him earlier. He was Joe Clark. What's his name? Oh shoot. Now
you're drawing a blank.
I'm going to be punished because I don't know the answer to this. I don't know what that man's name is. I should look it up, but I won't. But anyways, moving along. So he's a pretty good writer. The music is by Hans Zimmer. So if you've been listening to movies, you've heard Hans Zimmer. He's done so many soundtracks, he's been involved in so many musical projects for movies. He's been in Gladiator, Inception, Dunkirk, Twister, The Rock, and hundreds more. He's been involved in some kind of way. The executive producers were Joe Garari, Christopher Gottsick, Bradford Lewis, and Dwight Little. And I don't know much about these guys. I just copied and pasted their name down from IMDb. And I'm sure there's some great guys. We got a lot of ground to cover, so we're just going to skip past over them.
So we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back to talk about our favorite parts of the movie, some movie trivia, and find out what some of the critics thought.
From plasma rifles and energy drinks, you can trust the family at Spacer's Choice to provide for your needs. Spacer's Choice has been the choice for everyone from the long-haul freight captain to the hotel concierge for decades. With dependable quality and build, you can trust Spacer's Choice for your every need. Need an extra boost of energy to get you through your workdays? Then try our famous Adrenatime Enhancers. Need to quench your thirst? Then try our dehydrated water tablets. Need to deal with some pesky marauders? Then you can rely on our durable yet affordable suite of self-defense options such as the Good Word, which is our best-selling light machine gun. Yes, folks, for whatever you may need, you can trust the family at Spacer's Choice to have a ready solution for you. We are conveniently located everywhere there may be human life, as our vending machines are at hundreds of locations. Just use code BACKLOOK at checkout at our official Spacer's Choice vending machines to get a 20% discount. This offer may not be available from Earth. And remember, Spacer's choice. It's not the best choice, it's Spacer's choice.
And we're back. Thank you for joining us at the Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zach and Zoe. So, Zach, tell us, what was your favorite parts of the movie?
The beginning parts where he's training, where Vic is basically telling his partner tips on boxing, on basically, how he should watch his shoulders and not his hands. And that's why he keeps failing to block or dodge.
Right. So that in the beginning of the movie, it starts off with them in the boxing ring. And Vic is just pummeling whatever his name is. What was his name?
His name was Hale.
Pummeling
Yes.
Hale. So
Riley Hale.
So it's Major Vic is pummeling Colonel Hale in the boxing ring, trying to give him boxing tips. So one of the running themes of the movie was this $20 bet that they keep passing back and forth.
That Vic would mostly keep winning.
Right. At the end of the boxing match, Hale tried to give Vic the $20 that he won. It's like, you won. He's like, no, keep it. I feel bad about taking money from you. I always win. And he was like, it's yours. Take it. He's like, no, go ahead and keep it. It's like, no, I mean, it's yours. I took it out of your wallet while you were in the shower. So I thought that was clever. What else did you like?
I guess this is like, a little small scene where he takes, I think it's $100 bill or $20 bill, and he puts it under the rock, and I'm like, okay, don't know why, but okay.
Oh, you probably missed the dialogue. He was saying you won, because remember, he's always doing $20 bets.
You're right.
So they had a fight in the cockpit of the stealth plane.
And he lost because he got ejected.
Right. He lost the fight. He got ejected from the plane. And then he put a $20 rock and said, you won that one. That's why I was saying it was kind of a running theme on the $20 bet. So, and the plane was kind of based off of the B-2 bomber, but it's not actually a B-2 bomber. But that's what it was based off of.
I mean, I can tell from the look of it. And I was like, oh, okay.
Right. It's a lot smaller, and it doesn't have a lot of the other design cues. At the time this movie was made, I think they only had the B-2 bomber, which is the real big bomber, and then they had the stealth fighter, which is a misnomer because they don't actually fight. They are also bombers, but they are much smaller. For whatever reason, they call them stealth fighters. All right. What else did you see?
Another when Hale and what was her name? Terry. I'm just gonna go with the first part because when they're getting chased by the helicopter, they have to run away from it, but then also take it down because they're not gonna really be able to get away.
Right. I think taking the helicopter down. Oh, the last name you're looking for is Carmichael. Oh, and I also forgot to mention the name that I was trying to remember when I was talking about the movie Black Rain or Heavy Rain. That was Morgan Freeman. That was the name. So it was Morgan Freeman and Christian Slater. It was bugging me, but I got it back. So anyway, yeah. So the helicopter scene is when they was they're found out by the bad guys. The bad guys chase them down with the helicopter, and he says, "Let's have a little fun." So instead of just killing them outright, he's just chasing them with the helicopter, following behind them, because he could have just killed them.
Yes.
Can't outrun a helicopter. But they were just chasing them around, shooting them, having fun and whatnot. And then they lost them. And then, so they're in the mountains, well, not the mountains, but they're in a
canyon, whatever.
I guess you can call it a canyon, because it's not, it's like a tiny canyon. But anyway, they was able to hide in the rocks. And then Terry was able to crawl in his crevice, and the helicopters was hovering right above them, but could not see them. And so she's waving at the helicopter. The helicopter moves a little bit. Since it's not a military helicopter, I guess it is, but it's mostly glass in the front. So, what's his name? Hale. He had her gun, and he could fire through the glass and hit the pilot, and then that caused the helicopter to start to crash as he loses control. And then what's interesting is that the blades threaten Terry Carmichael, the park ranger. So it threatens her, about to chop her to pieces. and then he saves her just in time. That was actually a very good sequence. That is classic John Woo. John Woo has fun as being able to put all that together. That was really nice.
Another good one was the car chase where Hale and Carmichael has to get on the car in the front, the truck in the front. They get on it, take the guy out, and they have to, figure out what they're going to do next to get the people in the back where Vic is off their tail. So Hale grabs a flare and a fuel tank, I believe. Gasoline.
It's a
portable fuel tank,
like fuel container.
Fuel container.
It's a plastic fuel container where, like, if you run out of gas, that's what you take to the gas station, fill it up.
Wraps the flare around the fuel container, lights the flare up, throw it towards the car, and Vic tells the other guy to stop, but he doesn't, and the car gets hit, and they basically end up losing them.
Right. Yeah. The flare ignites the fuel. There's fuel all over, and it's like basically the chase vehicle is on fire. It's on fire, and then they have to stop and put out the fire, and then while they're stopped, that's when the good guys get away. And that was pretty ingenious thing. And I don't know how realistic it is, but it looked great. It looked awesome. The whole car chase was pretty awesome.
And I love the bits where Vic kept telling the guy to stop shooting
at the nuclear weapons.
Like, you'd think he learned the first 2 times, but then apparently not.
How did he say it? Say how you say it.
I don't remember. Sure.
Come on, you could do it.
No.
He said, "Could you please stop shooting at the thermonuclear bombs?" How many times do I have to tell you not to shoot at the nuclear weapons? Yeah, he was a trip. This is John Travolta chewing up the scenes. It's like when you watch the movie, you figure that he's loving every minute of this movie. It's like as a bad guy and as an actor, he's just loving it. So what else did you see?
Let's see, when they're in the tunnel and basically they're trying to get away, but because, he's like, I already knew you was going to do that. I already knew you was going to try to put in so many random numbers that, look at that, you disarmed the bomb. I already thought about that. Right, and it's already armed. Right. So they have to go ahead, take one of the nukes that they armed down into the mines and basically let one go off so the other one will be trapped under the rumble of rocks and not able to be discovered. I was like, that's a smart plan. The only thing is they didn't have that much time to actually get away because there was only 30 minutes on that timer.
Right. They was going to have to, ideally, they would have to load both the bombs into the elevator.
Well, they did.
Right.
They load both of them down the elevator, both of them in the cart. But the only issue was that, again, they only had 30 minutes, and 30 minutes wasn't going to be good enough for them to let the bomb to go off.
I don't know. They might have had enough.
No, because remember, they already got there, and he already.
Well, I'm just saying that ideally, like if they had not gotten there.
Ideally, if they haven't gotten there, then it would all worked out.
It would have worked out. But it's like they got the bombs in the deepest part of the mine that they could. They unloaded their bombs. Their plan was to allow. Because they couldn't disarm the one that was already armed, so they was going to escape the mine before you had an underground nuclear explosion, and everything would have been fine. But the bad guys, of course, get there before they could carry out their plan.
Change the time to 12 minutes or 13 minutes.
Had a shootout. The main bad guy, Vic, changed the time from 30 minutes to 12 minutes just because he could, to give him even less time to get out of the mine. But still having gunfights. He's not even trying to get out in a hurry. He's still having gunfights. And then they finally they get out. The bad guys get out with the one nuclear weapon that had not yet been that had not been armed, and they were able to escape. They was on the road, and they were good. While Hale and Carmichael, right? They were still trapped.
And
they almost gave up.
And this Carmichael's like, wait, remember the river? We can use that.
Right.
I'm like, how did you forget that in the first place? Why did you give up?
Probably because she had, terrified that you're going to die, you forget stuff.
I guess, but still.
and then she remembered, and then they was able to, they find a shaft that went to the river, the underground river. They was able to go through that tunnel and then swim away from the mine and the mountain before the weapon detonated underground, shook everything up, but
caused a massive EMP.
Right, caused a massive EMP, which was also ingenious. Vic was driving away, and then as he was driving away, the helicopter showed up, and it was a helicopter from Nest, and that's the nuclear emergency response team or something like that. But anyway, they told the bad guys to stop, and the bad guys stopped, but they didn't get out their vehicle.
Put down the weapons. They didn't, because Vic already knew it was time to turn off this electrical stuff in the car.
Right.
And just waited.
Right. And then when the EMP hit, the helicopter went down because helicopters controlled by electronics, and they was able to get away, the bad guys. So, but the only thing is that I don't think turning off your electronics would save your electronics.
I'm pretty sure it would still get
it basically fuses the metals in your electronics. So whether your electronics on or off, once it gets hit by EMP, it's not going to work. So that's
another good thing doing that scene is when I don't remember his name, but I guess the guy that was paying for all this,
the guy that
constantly kept complaining about how the plan is getting ruined.
Right.
And in that one scene, he grabs I guess a hammer and just strikes him right in the chest.
It was a bat.
Whatever it was a hard object, hit him in the chest, killing him.
Right. And
he's like, well, I never killed the person before. I know I dropped bombs on bad guys, but I don't see the big deal about it. I'm like,
right.
One, the only difference is you're dropping bombs. You just struck this man in the chest.
Right, he said he never did it personally. I was like, I don't see what the big deal is. He got issues.
That's the thing, if you, when he was mentioning on how he's messed up in the head, that would basically get to him.
Right. So, just making sure we were actually recording. I hate to get all this good conversation, and I'm like, wait, we're not even recording. What else you got?
The whole entire train sequence, that was a good one too.
The train, the boxing match?
No, I'm talking about from the beginning.
Oh, the train.
Yeah, when they first get on the train to the very end, that was all good.
Right. Yeah, that was great. See, all that great John Woo stuff. And you basically hit on everything that I liked about the movie. I was like, so even at the very end, this is where my favorite line comes in. So at first they're shooting at each other, and then they both lose a gun, and then what you call it? I think Vic kind of has the upper hand because he has I think he has a gun or something in his hand.
No, he has a trigger to the bomb in his hand.
Well, he has that, but he has something now. He has something, and then he's like, you know what? Let's box here or something.
Yeah, like I said, he has a trigger to the bomb. It's a remote trigger to the bomb. He was like, I have two ways. I can either hit this button, and you will basically lose, or hit this button, which will disarm or cancel the bomb, and you'll win. And then Hale's like, why don't you just hit the cancel button? He's like, because basically that'll be too easy.
Right. So it's so that now they're basically redoing the boxing match they had at the beginning of the film. So what I kind of like about this film, that this film had a lot of nice callbacks. So the $20 bet was a nice callback. They kind of referred to that a number of times.
He put the $20 under the trigger.
Right.
And talking about, well, if you win, then you get the $20.
Right. That was part of it. And then there was in the very beginning when there was a fight on the jet, and then Vic wins that fight, and Hale gets ejected. He lands in the middle of a desert in Utah in a national park. He's found by what's her name, Carmichael, and her first words to him was "Turn around, Mister. You're under arrest."
Yeah,
or whatever.
And then she says the same line.
She repeats that at the very end of the movie. So that was pretty cool. So so they proceeds to fighting. There's hand-to-hand fighting because
street
because
fight.
This is what Vic wanted.
More of a street fight.
Right. Basically a street fight. And they go back and forth. It's a very cool looking fight. It's a very nice fight. And then basically what's his name? Hale wins that fight. And then the train is still speeding along. He jumps out the train. As he's jumping out, he points the trigger at the nuke. disarming the nuke, and then and Vic is still stuck on the train. The train hits another car that's ahead of it because
that's on fire.
Right, that's
on fire because of a helicopter.
Right, because at one point the trains got disconnected. So when it slams, Vic is thrown against the wall. The nuke is launched free from wherever. It's still shaped kind of like a missile, and it slams into Vic and then pushes Vic out the car into the thing that's already burning. Massive explosion. That was a glorious end to the to the movie, basically.
Second nuke is basically safe.
Right, second nuke is safe. And then there's a burning $20 bill that Hal picks up because he won that bet.
So shut up and let it go.
Right. So at the point where Vic, I think he has some kind of advantage over Hal. In that fight on the train, so
I believe because he was getting weak and tired, like he mentioned, on how
I feel like he had like a rod or a stick or something like that. And
but he didn't use it. He punched him in the face.
He put it down, and he was like, he's like, let's fight for it. And he was like, you're out of your. And Hale was like, you're out of your mind. And then my favorite line of the movie, which is,
I don't know,
ain't it cool? He's like, you're out of your mind. I know, ain't it cool? So that's what I most remember this movie for, and so then all the things happened that we talked about. So yeah, it's a great action movie. It's a great, relaxing, just people fighting movie. It's just the beats are really good, where it goes from storytelling to acting, storytelling to acting. It's the common trope of most of these movies that involve the military, where something so bad happens that they got to go to the Department of Defense at the Pentagon, and they're in their darkly lit offices for some reason at the Pentagon to discuss what they're going to do, tell the story of what the press is going to do, whatever, and then they go back into the beats of the action. In this movie, as common with a lot of these movies in the 80s, that they killed off the black person first, that sergeant that was in charge of finding the nuclear weapons when they were first lost in a plane. And then the second black person, near the end of the film, Delroy Lindo, who played I think he played not a corporal. He played Lieutenant Colonel Maxwell. So he died in a helicopter fight. There's so much in this movie that we skipped out on, but you just gotta have to check it out. But other than that, it was still a fun movie to watch. I would encourage everyone to check out this movie when they get a chance. So let's go ahead and get into this trivia that we got from IMDb and see what's what. So John Travolta's character Deakins took off his uniform after he revealed himself to be a traitor because it was requested by the military, which is kind of funny.
I mean, that makes sense. Christian Slater did almost all of his own stunts.
Yeah, and those stunts were impressive. John Travolta, given the choice of playing either Deacon or Hale in the film, he chose the villain Deakins.
Howie Long's character was originally supposed to be killed off earlier in the picture, but when Fox executives saw the dailies and liked his performance, his role was quickly expanded so he could be in the whole movie.
Yeah, that's what we call studio interference. I mean, actually, I don't think it hurt the movie for him to be in the whole movie. But, maybe they should back off and let the master director, John Woo, handle this movie. The phrase broken arrow is not actually used to refer to the theft, loss, or seizure of nuclear weapons or components from the U.S. That's known as an empty quiver. A broken arrow, defined by the CJCSI 3150.03B, the Joint Reporting Structure Event and Incident Reports, as a U.S. nuclear weapon accident that does not create the risk of a nuclear war. So
I mean, I had to figure that.
This is from IMDb. So as of the time that they wrote this in IMDb, that's what's true. So the only thing I can say about that is that so what they're saying is that a broken arrow is when a nuclear weapon actually goes off but doesn't actually cause a nuclear. It's not a risk of nuclear war. Like say somebody accidentally detonated a nuclear bomb in the middle of the Atlantic. So it was an accident, but we're not risking Russia, deciding to launch nuclear weapons at the United States. So that's interesting.
Samantha Mathis asked friend Sandra Bullock for tips on doing action scenes. Bullock told her to hum the James Bond themes before every take.
That's funny. John Woo earlier cut. I'm saying this all wrong. John Woo's earlier cut came in at a 2-hour mark and featured more character development and more violence in the action scenes.
Just like John Woo's first movie, Hard Target, that came out in 1993, this film suffered from the problems with recuts forced by studios' interference and ratings problems caused by MPAA. According to some sources, studio interference on this movie was bigger than the one on Hard Target.
Right, they just wouldn't leave the man alone. Now I can see why the MPAA would get involved, because they're like, man, there's too much blood, just rated X. It's like, come on, y'all. It's not that bad. It's just his head getting cut off. It's like, well, you have to take that out, partner, because this is way too bloody. Anyway, this is funny. I'm going to read this whole thing, and then I'm going to share my thoughts about this. The review of this movie on At the Movies, 1986, represents the only time in history where Roger Ebert convinced Gene Siskel to change his mind about his final judgment of a film. Siskel originally gave this movie a thumbs up, but after Roger Ebert gave the movie a thumbs down and explained his reasoning, Siskel decided to change his judgment to thumbs down. Siskel, on the other hand, had never successfully convinced Ebert to change his mind about a movie during an episode of their show, although Ebert had occasionally changed his own mind in print reviews. See, that's the devil for you, because, the dude enjoyed the movie. Siskel's my man. Remember, I told you he's like for the people. He's like a common man. Go to the movie, you see it, and you're like, yeah, that's a hot movie. I like this movie. And then you're going to get Roger Ebert, he's all like an intellectual. Like, well, the reason this movie is bad is because this, maybe it wasn't bad. Maybe I liked that. Or maybe it went past me and I didn't see it. So because I didn't see it, I still enjoyed the movie and I like it. But no, you got to go in there with all your, highfalutin reasoning. You know what? Maybe we don't look at it with a highfalutin mind. Maybe you go there with a simple mind and be like, you know what? The movie was fire. I didn't notice anything wrong with it. Why you got to analyze it like that?
You really dislike this man.
Oh, my God. Well, I don't dislike him. I don't hope he burn in hell. But I just wish he would leave people alone. He could have. Gene Siskel enjoyed the movie. Why did you have to talk him out of his enjoyment? What reason you shouldn't have liked it? What do you mean I shouldn't have liked it? It was fine. I liked it. You didn't have to ruin it for me anyways. Go on.
Samantha, again, not like this. Mathis plays Terry Carmichael, the love interest of Kristen Slater's character, Riley Hale. She also played the love interest of Slater's character in the movie Pump Up the Volume that came up in 1990. They also voiced characters that were romantically involved in the movie Fern Gully, The Last Rainforest, that came out in 1992.
Yeah, that's tripping. The reason for this is that Samantha Mathis is Christian Slater's former girlfriend.
That makes sense.
Go ahead.
That makes sense. Popular Movies News website Ain't It Cool News got its name from a line in the movie. Of course it did.
Ain't it cool?
Stop.
In an interview on Parkinson in 1971, Halle Berry recalled that producers turned her down for the role of Terry Carmichael and told her there are no black park rangers. Really?
And you want to make a bet?
There's always some white dude. Always some white dude with some BS.
For their fight scenes, Kristen Slater and John Travolta trained with former boxing champ Carlos Palomino.
I don't know who that is, but I think that he did a good job training those two fellas. Their fight scenes look really good. So what did you feel about the movie?
It was real good.
Oh, you liked it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I knew you would like it. I don't know if you liked it as much as I liked it. And I know that technically this is a bad movie.
Yeah.
objectively, I would say that this is a bad movie, but I really liked this movie. I really enjoyed this movie. It's like it puts stars in my eyes. You know, like when you watch cartoons and the characters look at stuff and they really like, and you see their eyes turn to stars. That's how I was when I watched this movie. So, you know, you liked it because you're my clone. But let's see what the critics think. The critics from, well, let me organize this because I'm totally confused how I wrote this. Okay, Rotten Tomatoes. The critics on Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 52%. The audience gave it a 44%, which is fair. It's a little bit lower than I anticipated, but I knew it wasn't fresh. I knew it wasn't a fresh movie. And IMDb reviews, they're pretty much consistent with this. They gave it a 6.1 out of 10.
Mike Clark from USA Today. Director with the keen action instincts Wu brought to the killers, hard-boiled, and other cult causes from his career in Hong Kong.
I would say that's absolutely right. Mike Macy from Gone with the Twins. Despite a lot of mayhem taking place on screen, the only memorial component of this ramshackle actioner is Hans Zimmer's score. So basically, he's saying that the only thing he liked about it was the music. And I'm like, whatever, dude.
Nick Rogers from the film Yap. Everything in the Wu-verse, really, is here, and John Travolta acts like a high school junior getting to play bad for the first time. That's not a knockoff. For better or worse, Broken Arrows embodies everything we expected of American action movies in 1996.
That is absolutely correct. John Travolta was cheesing up the screen, but it was refreshing seeing him like that. James Sanford of Kalamazoo Gazette, he wrote, too long, too loud, too silly. You know what? He's probably right. It wasn't too long, though. I would disagree with him.
Wait, too loud. I think he should have turned down his volume then.
You're like, too loud, too silly? Yeah, he's right. It was, but it was still enjoyable. That was part of the charm. It was a feature, not a bug.
I guess you want to read this next part?
No, I can go ahead.
Okay.
Broken Arrow is currently available for free on Amazon Video for Amazon Prime subscribers. So, no, it's not. I remember.
I was about to say, you had to pay for it. What's wrong with you?
It was free. I think it was free last week. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to go ahead and hurry up and watch it. But now, within all of a sudden,
you got to pay up, guys. Give them your money even more. This is Amazon.
And I actually bought it. I didn't rent it. I was like, no, I'm going to buy this movie. I'm going to watch this joint again. But now, in hindsight, I probably should have rented it because, like I said, it is objectively bad. But I love this movie. And if you like this mindless action movie, this is the kind of movie you can kind of put on in the background and clean your house. It's one of those type of movies.
Really?
Yeah, it's like
put it on and clean your house.
Right,
really.
Right. It's one of those. It's like a Godzilla monster movie. Just happened to be on. Like, ooh, let's go ahead and put this on so I can organize the bookshelf. That is the type of movie.
I'm watching that Godzilla movie. I'm not organizing anything. This is Godzilla.
No, here's what happens. I only ever watched the monster fights in the Godzilla movies. It's like when the people came on and started talking about Godzilla, I totally zoned out. I probably started drawing.
Horrible.
I'm reading a comic book.
Horrible.
I'm gone. And then all of a sudden you hear, and I look up, okay, the fight's about to start.
Horrible. You are the worst.
So that's what I got. So you got any more comments?
No.
All right. So I think that we have successfully completed this episode, and we both enjoyed the film, and that's that. So there was one more thing I wanted to say before I leave, and that is, if you like this show, please rate us, write a review. Believe me, it matters. Be safe, hug your loved ones, and be outstanding.